Good evening, everybody. If the undergraduates could keep rise, we're going to welcome in the superintendent. Undergraduates, please stand up. You're going to welcome the SAU staff. Superintendent Robert Merlet, Dr. Ben White, Assistant Superintendent Brian Campbell. They're joined by the Keene School Board members, including Chairman George Downing, Chris Roberts, Randy Filialt, oh, and Raleigh. Sorry, Raleigh. I didn't see you back there. And now I would like us to welcome the Keene High faculty who are participating today. Please be seated. Good evening. I'm Cindy Gallagher. I'm the principal here at Keene High, and this is my honor to do the third graduation in the third location in the third year. So this was quite a feat. I'd like to acknowledge everybody that this was a hard decision to make. I was going to do a blizzard bag and have everybody do it through a Google Meet, but I didn't think that would be fun. Without further ado, I'd like to welcome you to start the graduation ceremony. We are very fortunate our student leaders lead most of this, and we're going to lead off today with Lindsay Marshall taking over.
Good evening. I'm Lindsay Marshall, the Class of 2023 Secretary. I would now like to introduce our color guard. I would ask you to continue to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. After the pledge, I would ask that you remain standing for the Star-Spangled Banner presented by the Keene High School Voices and KHS Choir under the direction of Dr. Matthew Lease. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light Thank you to the color guard, Dr. Leese, and the KHS Voices. Hello, family, friends, and graduates. My name is Chloe Fauché, and I've had the pleasure to serve as the Class of 2023 Vice President. I will be leading you through today's commencement celebration. Thank you all for being here to support and celebrate the Keene High School graduating class of 2023. And without further ado, I would like to recognize Mr. George Downing, the Keene School Board Chair.
Good evening. It is my distinct pleasure to welcome you all to the commencement ceremonies for the Keene High School class of 2023. It is always an honor to welcome the graduates and their families and friends to this event, but this year and this class is particularly special to me. I feel like I've known some of you for your entire lives. The class of 2023 has had an unusual journey. Halfway through your freshman year, the world was hit by a pandemic and a disease we had never heard of. You spent a year and a half learning during a pandemic, and another year and a half assisting as the high school recreated traditions, rebuilt communities, and reestablished the heart of Keene High School. You could have chosen to simply put your heads down and do the work needed to get to today. Instead, you became leaders. You led your peers in advocating for a safer school and for fair treatment for each other. You led a return to full participation in sports and in clubs and in activities, and then you led those teams and those clubs to successful seasons. You have earned awards and recognition in sports, art, music, academics, unified activities, CTE skills competitions, and more. Your strength, your belief in yourselves, and your compassion for each other has defined your senior year, inspired the community, and will serve you well as you move on to the next chapter in your lives. On behalf of the Keene Board of Education, the SAU 29 School Board, and the school boards of all of the communities contributing to the success of this class, it gives me great pleasure to congratulate the Keene High School class of 2023.
Thank you, Mr. Downing, for your words of wisdom. Now it is my pleasure to introduce Dr. Cindy Gallagher, the principal of Keene High School.
It's always interesting to me when I do a graduation ceremony and I find out that most of the speeches sound remarkably alike. That's a testimony to, I think, what is the truth that we hold true for this class. So, good evening, graduates. It's an honor to address you because not only have you persevered through a pandemic, you've helped reestablish Blackbird Pride. And that was a challenge that I put forth to you during your senior meeting. You needed to help us bring it back. Your collective actions have modeled the true spirit of what we want all of our school community to demonstrate: kindness, leadership, equity, and resilience. First, I want to thank your parents, guardians, and families who've been your support system throughout this incredible journey. Their sacrifice, love, guidance are the foundation upon which you've built your future. Class of 2023, let's give your families a round of applause. I also want to take a moment to thank our exceptional teachers and staff. Those are your mentors. Their dedication and passion for education not only imparted knowledge to you, but also nurtured your growth. They encouraged you to think critically, to dream big, and to strive for excellence. It's through their commitment that you've gained the skills necessary to face the challenges that lie ahead. To the KHS faculty and staff, thank you for caring about this group. We appreciate all that you've done. Let's give them a round of applause. So, when we met 3 years ago, we were all in masks. Many of you had earbuds in. You sat in your sophomore class meeting in the auditorium, and I challenged you. Sophomores have that quirky, somewhat little tiny bit of disrespect. It happens at the start of 10th grade. I challenged you to pick up your heads as you walk down the halls, to see each other, to greet each other. Now remember, we were covered mask to mask, but to simply say hello. I knew that some of you would find that difficult. But now, 3 years later, it makes me laugh when I hear someone yell, "Hey, Patty! Hey, Gillard! Hey, Taft!" Some of you even say, "Hey, Dr. G, good morning." I appreciate that. Eye contact, a smile, or simply saying hi transforms a community. Whether it was supporting your classmates through difficult times, organizing fundraisers for those in need, spreading positivity with a simple smile, your acts of kindness have had a profound impact on our school. And I want you to remember what we heard at Salmagundi about Miss Smith. Kindness matters. I believe that kindness is a force that can change the world. Next, leadership. Leadership's about inspiring others and setting an example. Throughout this year, we've seen leaders emerge within your class. Members of SALC and Student Council, your creativity and desire to promote school pride was endless. Thank you for the antics at athletics, your spirit days and pep rallies and dances. Most importantly, thank you for stepping up and staying consistent the whole year. You've brought fun back to the high school. Leaders also exist in all of our clubs and organizations in athletics. Leaders give back. An important example for us to remember, and it's just one example, is the hockey team's fundraiser for suicide prevention. That was a long fundraiser. You guys were out there weekends in the middle of winter, and I want to acknowledge that. So thank you. Here's something else to be proud of. During the 22-23 year, Keene student involvement in sports and clubs nearly doubled the 2 previous years. I'm pretty confident that when we add the spring numbers, we're actually going to exceed the number of participants that were in the 2018-19 year, the year before the pandemic. You are the leaders that have rallied everyone back. You've shown us that true leadership involves collaboration, empathy, and a commitment to serving others. Thank you for your leadership. Oh, that was nice. I'll take that. Never clap alone. As you move forward into college, here's what I think's happening with us. College, workforce, military, a service year, a travel year, a mission year, and then some other extra paths. Remember that leadership's not limited to titles, but rather it's about making a positive difference wherever you go. And I'd like to pause for a moment. Those of you who are choosing the military are making a significant sacrifice. Would anybody who's enlisted in one of the branches please stand now to be acknowledged? Thank you for this dedication. Diversity and equity are the cornerstones of a just and inclusive community. Keene High has witnessed the power of unity and the strength that comes through embracing diversity and the challenges that we encounter when we set high expectations for equity. Over the last 2 years, members of this class have led and challenged us in considering this from so many different angles. Your art on display in the halls is a testimony to your passion and your pain. Your choices during the musical performances shared rich culture with us. We've embraced our unified program in athletics, in concerts, at pep rallies, and by hosting the Regional Unified Prom. You are the leaders who have challenged us as a community to tackle the difficult dialogues about race and gender and LGBTQ issues that confront us when members of the community say thoughtless things, post thoughtless social media, and do thoughtless acts that hurt. You've been appropriately critical of our systems and our responses, but more importantly, you stepped in to help us. You didn't just complain, you stepped up. We all share the responsibility to fight injustice and champion equity for all. I hope you'll continue to find collective value in everyone's uniqueness and that you'll continue to confront injustices in a productive way. Finally, resilience. You've faced unprecedented challenges for over 4 years, from the pandemic that interrupted everyone's life to the personal obstacles that have seemed insurmountable. You've demonstrated resilience. At the Cheshire Career Center Recognition Night, your teachers shared stories of how you, the Cheshire students, had to demonstrate resilience to earn your credentials, to earn your college credits, and to move on into the workforce career ready. Here's a special good luck wish to Fafi, Charlotte, and Delilah. Good luck, you guys, as you head to Florida for the national competition representing the Cheshire Education Rising. You guys got this. At the baccalaureate, we heard stories from some students that was their daily experience. Many of us had to pause. We thought about what we were hearing our peers talk about, and we realized that we were inspired in part because they've made it through their daily experience. Here's what I know. We each have a story that includes a setback. I hope that you've learned that setbacks are not roadblocks, but rather stepping stones, and I hope that you'll carry the resilience forward with you. You have the strength, and you have the resources around you to overcome any hurdle that comes up. I look forward to hearing all of the great things you accomplish. Congratulations, class of 2023.
Thank you, Dr. Gallagher, for recognizing our achievements. On behalf of the class of 2023, we wish you good luck as you continue at Keene High School. I will now introduce Keene High's president for the class of 2023, my good friend, Hannah Driscoll-Kerrigan.
I'd like to be one of the first people here to say congratulations. This was not an easy feat, and I'm incredibly proud of everyone here. I will keep my part of this short, as I would imagine most of you don't want to hear about the life lessons and advice from another 18-year-old graduate. For as long as I've remembered, I've wanted to be an educator. The influence that good teachers have had on my life is immense. All throughout middle school and high school, I've had teachers that stand out and go the extra mile. I remember sophomore year, after we finally returned to the classroom, I had English 10 honors with Mrs. Smith. I looked forward to that class every day, not so much because we were reading To Kill a Mockingbird, but because of Mrs. Smith herself. The environment she created in her classroom was endlessly supportive. She always had her doors open, metaphorically and literally, as the English hall got insanely hot that year. I remember one of the last days of school, a bunch of us went to her I-Time to clean out her room. Not because she had asked us to, but because we enjoyed spending time there. We were getting life lessons in there, regardless of if they were about where to place commas or why a pig was trying to overthrow a farm. I would imagine that each of you have a similar story with another teacher in your life. Whether at Keene High or somewhere else, teachers have impacted every aspect of our lives. We are all products of their hard work. Their endless support, tenacity, and grit is the reason we are here today. Unfortunately, for a group of individuals that shape thousands of lives, the treatment of teachers is embarrassing. It's well known that there is a teacher shortage across the country. In a survey done by ABC, over 3/4 of the country reported that they were facing a teacher shortage over the past year. According to NPR, 45% of schools had at least one teacher vacancy in October of 2022. We need more teachers, and we need to treat them to better pay, more respect, and more general support all around. That can start with us. Thank your teachers. Tell them you appreciate all their hard work. Even us just being up here today shows the hard work of our teachers, and we thank them. It also shows our resilience. We overcame a lot of challenges to get here. Online school, hybrid learning in our separate cohorts, administration changes, and 3 different attempts at competency-based grading. We've seen more variety at Keene High than most of the past generations. It is because of these challenges that we have become a group of incredibly adaptive students, ready to take on any obstacle that awaits. This, along with hopefully happy memories at Keene High, will carry on with us. As we go out into the world and begin to make our voices heard, we all must remember the lessons we learned and the wonderful educators that got us here, because they deserve better. Thank you.
Thank you, Hannah, for your message and for all that you have done for the senior class. At this time, I would like to welcome Superintendent Robert Millay.
Thank you, Chloe, and thank you, Hannah, for your wonderful message. And thank you to all of you who are able to be here in attendance and those who are watching us live for being a part of this momentous occasion. But before I go any further, I do have a little bit of housekeeping to keep my record straight. Awesome. All right. Each and every class that I have been a part of and been very fortunate to be a part of for the last 30 years has taken on an image, a personality, or a characteristic that is somewhat unique to them alone and serves as a reminder of who they are. The Keene High class of 2023 is no exception to that. For several months leading up to today, I have listened to many teachers, many parents, students themselves tell me just how awesome this particular class is. How they've demonstrated all of the stuff that you want to see in a good world. How they have overcome all of the challenges that have been laid before them. I've yet to hear a negative comment about this class as a whole, and that is something on its own just to marvel at. As I reflected on this class, I was taken back a few years to a time when I had a conversation with an individual sitting right here in front of me, and they asked me very innocently, when are things going to get back to normal? I answered, honestly, I don't know, but thank you for your patience. And this student looked at me with a glass half full attitude and said, patience is a virtue. I chuckled and I said, that is true. But what is a virtue? And the student, keeping that glass half full, said, patience. This continued all the way up until today at 12:39 when I checked in to see if they had a more precise definition of what patience or what a virtue was. And because they didn't, I thought I would use this opportunity to fill the other half of that glass and let these graduates go on to what comes next, because I think this really encompasses who they are as a whole. Aristotle defined virtue as a purposive disposition lying in a mean and being determined by the right reason. Well, he lived almost 2,500 years ago when language was very different, so I cheated a little bit and got an updated version by Googling it earlier, and I came up with a virtue is a behavior showing high moral standards. The list of virtues, depending on what source you use, is now more than 100 strong. And although I could probably connect each of those to this very class, I'm only going to briefly highlight a few of them moving forward, because I think it speaks volumes to who the class of 2023 is. And I guess it's appropriate to start with patience. The value of patience has long been recognized, as Confucius once said, "It does not matter how slowly you go, as long as you do not stop." You have demonstrated your patience over the last 4 years with all of the uncertainties that existed and kept moving on, which is exactly why you're here today. Courage. Mark Twain offered, "Courage is the resistance to fear, the mastery of fear, not the absence of fear." You started your high school journey 4 years ago with a level of fear, whether you choose to recognize that or not. The fear of coming into this great big school, the fear of not seeing your friends or your go-to people, the fear of passing your classes, the fear of getting a part or a role or being selected for a team, and the list goes on. But yet, here you are now, the masters of the fear that you once endured. Kindness. It is not always easy to be kind, just ask anyone. There are times when another just gets under your skin or says or does something that you don't agree with. But the Dalai Lama told us, be kind whenever possible. It is always possible. You have seen the goodness in yourselves and in others and have set the example for the classes behind to follow through supporting one another by celebrating your successes, but also by picking up one another when a helping, kind, and loving hand was needed. 4, wisdom. They say that knowledge is power, but wisdom is so much more than just knowledge. Perhaps that's why Socrates once stated, "The only true wisdom is knowing that you know nothing." All right, I got to give a shout out to Socrates because I am absolutely positive that I am not the only parent here today that has heard on more than one occasion from their kid, "Oh, you don't know anything." So thank you, Socrates, for recognizing our wisdom. Your journey toward wisdom may never be complete, but you are undoubtedly one step closer than you were yesterday. And lastly, respect. The students that walked into Keene High School 4 years ago are not the same students that sit here today. You have emerged fresh from that straight out of middle school attitude to reflective young adults that not only learned how to respect yourselves and others, but have also become remarkable human beings that have earned the respect of many that have watched you along the way. Maya Angelou offered that when we lose love and self-respect for each other, this is how we finally die. Keep loving and respecting one another and those who are in your life now and those who will be part of your life moving forward. All right, I'm going to try to summarize, but I need full audience participation, including the soon-to-be graduates. All right, this is unrehearsed, and so I hope it works. Real simple. When my hand goes up, you repeat the word that was just said. All right, so let's try it out. Ready? This. Oh, we've got to do way better than that. They need to hear us in Swansea and all the way up in Walpole. So please, people, give me a hand here. This. Yes, is the Keene High School graduating class of 2023, and they must always be treated with respect. And these are the people that assisted, guided, and supported the class whilst they were in high school, and they must also be treated with respect. They shall be the class that always. I repeat, always is remembered for their patience, their courage, their kindness, and their never-ending pursuit of wisdom as they have persevered through all of the adversity and met all of the challenges thrown before them while demonstrating the virtue of what is really important and have committed themselves to success, regardless of how we define success. Because no matter where life leads them, they will forever be known as blackbirds. Hey, congratulations. May your glasses always be full, and thank you for being awesome.
Thank you, Mr. Millay. We appreciate your support and encouragement. Now I would like to introduce the Keene High School Voices and members of the KHS Choir who will perform Now We Can Begin under the direction of Dr. Matthew Leese.
Clouds and rise of sun, now we can begin.
Thank you, Dr. Leese and KHS Voices. Now, I would like to introduce Mr. Bill Gillard, a Keene High math teacher, for the presentation of the Achievement Award, recognizing Keene High School's Valedictorian.
So, I don't know if class of 2023 knows this, but like this is a celebration, right? So let's give it up for class of 2023. Come on, I can't hear you. So I also pre-apologize. If anybody needs to put sunglasses on, if there's too much glare off the top of my head, feel free to do so. All right, so when Ellie asked me to do this introduction, I'll be honest, I was a little nervous. I wasn't unsure about whether or not I wanted to introduce her. I was unsure about exactly what I would say. So I'm introducing the valedictorian, Elena Fedrizzi, goes by Ellie. Over the past 2 years, I've had the pleasure of teaching Ellie in the classroom and getting to know her as a person. What always struck me is how she goes about her life. Whether it's school or dance, flying planes, applying to college, or relationships with her peers, she goes about her life in this really powerful yet quiet way. She's never really interested in highlighting her accomplishments publicly. Success for Ellie is never about her. Not only that, but Ellie wants everybody to succeed. She wants success as much as she wants success for herself. For Ellie, success is about performing at your utmost potential and achieving everything that you have the ability to achieve, including helping others reach their goals and aspirations. Then, when the work is done, there's only one question: what is next? So when I set out to write this, I knew I had to come up with something that was more than just GPA and grades and share a sentiment of who she is as a person. Now, don't get me wrong, there's a reason she's valedictorian. If I'm being honest, the girl is an absolute academic weapon. But to introduce Ellie is to introduce her passions, the things that really move her. Ellie loves to dance. She's been dancing for basically her entire life, and for her, it is a place where she can let down her guard, shed the quiet demeanor she carries, and express herself fully and vibrantly. She danced for MoCo Arts and New Hampshire Dance Institute for years. While she did play the role in the recent MoCo production, the leading role, as a senior veteran MoCo dancer, and she has in-depthly studied modern jazz, dance, ballet. She has stated many times that her shining achievement in all her dance experiences was back in 2015 during 4th grade when she played the water drop in the NHDI's production of The Water Cycle. MoCo Arts has expanded her dance experience, allowing her to explore her talents in tap and her favorite genre, hip-hop. It has also solidified her love for sushi, which Ellie found to become a necessity backstage at any show. I went to MoCo's spring show last week. It was amazing, with around 100 kids performing. Ellie was front and center and playing Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz. And Judy Garland would have been proud. I really wish you all had been there. I mean, maybe. I don't know, I'm getting a little old and would probably hurt myself getting sturdy up here, but maybe I could give you a little glimpse of what it was like. Ellie also loves to fly. About 3 weeks ago, she cleared her check ride and is now a certified private pilot. To give people some perspective, Ellie put in 45 ground hours and 66 flight hours in order to obtain her certification, which she somehow accomplished during her spare time. Ellie would often send an email with a flight tracking app saying, "Hey, check out my flight this weekend." You could log on and see her flight path from Dillon Hopkins up to Hanover, over to Albany, and then she would send a quick selfie of her in the plane with a full headset and everything. While most kids are at home on their gaming headsets, playing Among Us or Fortnite, yelling, "Bro, red is sus. You're literally dog water, bro." There was Ellie in a literal plane with a literal headset flying all over New England. Flight 2 N44836, turning final approach, runway 4. Flight N44836, we gotcha. Cleared to land, runway 4. Ellie's real dream is to become a fighter pilot. In the United States Air Force, she has moved one step closer to realizing this dream, as she recently was appointed to the U.S. Air Force Academy in Colorado Springs, Colorado. To do this, To do this, you need a congressional nomination and to pass a whole set of tests. So kids usually find one congressperson or senator in their state to give them a nomination. There's a whole application process. It's pretty high-level stuff. Of course, what does this girl do? She gets both senators and a congresswoman. For those of you who aren't counting, that's 3 out of 4 congressional appointments in New Hampshire, to nominate her for the Air Force. This is just how Ellie operates. Set a goal, crush it, repeat. What I really came to understand over the past 2 years was, in the face of all of Ellie's accomplishments, it is her unspoken qualities and characteristics that set her apart as an exceptional person. She is humble, someone who goes about her studies and activities achieving results far and above those of her peers, and she would have just as soon no one knew. She is a strong leader who is naturally drawn towards leadership roles in spite of her quiet disposition. She cares immensely for her classmates and fellow human beings and has a natural sense of duty to help others. She sets incredibly high standards for herself in all areas of her life, not because it is required or because anyone knows, but simply because it is her natural tendency. Famous UCLA coach John Wooden once said, "The true test of a person's character is what they do when no one is watching." Ellie epitomizes this ideal. She is a person who will always do what is right, someone who will always work to accomplish the task at hand, no matter how difficult the circumstances. Someone who will always push herself to achieve results that rise to the greatest degree of her potential, and someone who will always exceed unspoken expectations, even if no one will ever know. While there are many flights still left to complete, both for you and all your classmates, at least for this chapter, Ellie, you're cleared to land.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Gillard. That was wonderful. Hello to the graduating class of 2023. It's great to be here with you guys. First and foremost, I would like to say congratulations. Over these past 4 years at Keene High School, I know that you have pursued your passions, whether in sports or drama or art or music or mastering a trade or whatever you love. We first walked into high school as freshmen 1,381 days ago. And now we are the next soon-to-be alumni of Keene High School. I know firsthand that each of you has worked so hard for this moment, and I am glad to be able to share it with you tonight. During high school, as Mr. Gillard said, I found a passion for aviation after going to the Westfield Air Show with my brother. I was inspired to attend flight school and spent multiple summers saving up so that I could work towards my private pilot's license. While learning to fly might seem completely foreign to many of you, I think that it has a lot of parallels to our high school experience. Here's what I mean. Before you can take off, all pilots must complete something called pre-flight. This involves checking everything in and around the plane, including the wings, the tires, the engine, fuel, propeller, and instruments. As a pilot, you must make sure that the aircraft is safe and that you have all the necessary documents and supplies to have a safe flight. You need to have made a flight plan and even programmed the GPS. Before freshman year, each of us did something similar.
We likely went back to school shopping to collect binders, pencils, calculators, and backpacks. Maybe we picked out a new outfit to feel our best on the first day. While I didn't use a GPS on the first day of school, I definitely used a map to get to all my classes. The second step of flying is taxiing to the runway where you'd like to take off. Most airports have multiple runways, each leading in very different directions. I relate this to picking our classes and extracurriculars. Over the past 4 years, we have chosen which direction we want to go when we finally graduate. We have been trying classes, trying out for new sports, joining new clubs, and even just making new friends. While we may not have always known what our final destination would be, we have each been thoughtful about the futures we want for ourselves. High school has been a time to get our bearings. Flying is not always smooth, clear blue skies. When I'm in the sky, I often deal with unexpected turbulence. Like flying, high school has had its ups and downs. We've lost opportunities and connections due to COVID, but like every successful pilot, we have adapted. Sometimes the weather isn't exactly as it was forecasted, like today, and I have to change what altitude I fly at to get above the bumps or even turn back. In school, we have all experienced setbacks and change. Sometimes we don't do well on a test that we studied hard for, or get behind on a project that was more time-intensive than we had first thought. Maybe we even try out for a new sport and don't make the team that we had hoped for and had to accept playing JV instead of varsity. While each of these setbacks were difficult, we didn't let them stop us from continuing on. We adjusted, we made new goals, and we strove for new heights. One thing that I've learned from flight school is that flying can be super stressful. There are a lot of things to watch for, and you cannot just pull over on the side of the road if something feels overwhelming. Luckily, I can talk and reach out to air traffic control. I can ask for help with navigation, make sure that I'm staying a safe distance from other planes, and even ask for help if I'm feeling disoriented. In the past 4 years, we have all had to ask for help. Whether we visited teachers during their eye times for extra homework help, or emailed our guidance counselors, the wonderful and knowledgeable teachers at Keene High have been our guides, and I speak for all of us when I say thank you for getting us to this day. We wouldn't be here without you today, and without all the teachers, staff, and administrators who have been supporting us since day one. We also wouldn't be here without our family and friends. Look around you. The ones in the stands cheering for you, and the peers who have lived high school with you. They are your inspiration and support. They have given you pep talks on the bad days and congratulations on the good. They are our collective #1 supporter. Now, you might be thinking that graduation is like landing. And while it does signify the end of a rewarding 4 years, I don't see it that way. For us, this graduation is just the beginning. Each of us has our own path, our own flight. In front of me are about 260 people who are the next generations of artists, scientists, engineers, soldiers, nurses, doctors, educators, social workers, mathematicians, carpenters, senators, accountants, professional athletes, chefs, news reporters, and even pilots. We are the soon-to-be graduates of Keene High School, and will all go on to fly our own journeys. Each of us will experience some turbulence. We'll need to ask air traffic control for some help, but I know that we will go on to do some incredible things and make Keene High School proud. Unfortunately, I don't know the Thunderbirds personally and could not arrange for a flyover, although that would have been awesome. So instead, I will leave you with this. The diploma that you are receiving today is just the beginning. I know that you will do amazing things, and as your peer, I know that the future is so much brighter with you all in it. You will forever be a blackbird, so spread those wings. Thank you.
Congratulations, Ellie, on all that you have accomplished. You're an amazing person who will do incredible things. I'm now pleased to introduce Mrs. Jewett, a Keene High teacher in social studies, who will recognize the Keene High School Salutatorian.
While it gives me great pleasure to talk to you today about the professionalism and achievements of an exceptional student, it is tempered with the fact that this young lady is going to be leaving our school community. I had the privilege of having this year's Salutatorian in my advanced placement United States history course. In this class, an emphasis is placed on interpreting documents, mastering a significant amount of factual information, and writing critical essays. It's a notorious difficult class. Through hard work and dedication, Maddie became one of my highest achieving students. But this is not what stood out to me about her. It was her passion for learning. She had such an incredible way of looking at the past and asking the difficult questions. I'm going to miss her insights about the world we live in and her optimism for a better future. She made me a better teacher, and I will be forever grateful. John Quincy Adams once said, "The key to success is to try and fail, but don't fail to try." These words embody the work ethic of this year's Salutatorian and her journey over the last 4 years. Maddie was never afraid to take on new challenges and push herself to improve at every opportunity. As a result, her drive and passion for learning led to many academic accomplishments, including an impressive GPA of 4.408. But more importantly, it led to opportunities like this: being selected as one of 2 delegates to represent the state of New Hampshire for the United States Senate Youth Program. This is an extremely competitive, merit-based program that brings together 104 students from across the nation to experience the national government in action. Experience I know changed her life. It also led to being an intern for the Historical Society of Cheshire County, where she worked on the project Hello Mother, Hello Father, an exhibit on the history of summer camps. You really should go see it. It's my little plug. Despite a vigorous workload, she was also involved in many other activities here at Keene High. I'm not sure how she managed it all. I constantly talked to her about work-life balance. Yes, a high school student. We laughed often about the fact that she didn't know how to say no to people, but to her, these activities mattered, and somehow she always found the time to fit in another activity or take on another role. When you look at her list of extracurriculars, you will see that she was and is a true leader, driven by her passion to give back to both her school and this community. Some of the highlights include president of the student council. She organized volunteer events for the community kitchen. She planned homecoming week, organized freshman orientation, among other things. She was also the student school board representative, a member of the National Honor Society, head of both sound and tech for Drama Club, and a member of Reading on the Road. Dwight D. Eisenhower remarked that accomplishment will prove to be a journey, not a destination. Her superb work ethic, coupled with her intelligence, is going to allow her to go far. Today, help me applaud the amazing accomplishments of this young lady, while also acknowledging that her journey has really just begun. She'll be attending George Washington University in the fall, where she's enrolled in the honors program to study history. This year's salutatorian is Madeline Waters.
Good evening, friends, family, and faculty. Thank you so much for joining us here tonight. In all honesty, I cannot believe that we are here. That is not some cliche. It truly has not sunk in that we will not be returning to this place next year. My friends and I often joke that we still feel like freshmen because our freshman year never really ended. We just hung up a Google Meet and that was that. We are the last class. We are the last class to have ever existed in high school prior to COVID-19. Ever. There will never be another class to know what it was like to have been in high school without the looming threat of the pandemic or the aftershocks of it. In a lot of ways, that is what our legacy will be. But that's not how I think of us. We are not just the end of one story, but the beginning of another. In a lot of ways, we had to make the decision of what high school would become after COVID. What traditions stay? What new traditions do we create? What do we get rid of? Now, obviously, we did not make these decisions alone. We had the grades above us and teachers who have spent their lives dedicated to this school, but I like to think we played a pretty big part. Last year, Student Council President Elizabeth Stanish and I discussed at length the future of clubs within Keene High. We agreed that her great's job had been to keep the clubs alive long enough so that we could make them thrive. There are certainly things we failed to do, traditions we did not know well enough to save, but overall, I believe that with time and effort, we have absolutely taken the next steps for Keene High to thrive. I mean, look at what we've done. Our sports teams are stronger than they have been in years. The music program is thriving. Salk pulled off not one, not two, but 3 awesome pep rallies this year. We celebrated the 100th day of school together and had some fantastic turnout for Spirit Weeks. Our class council was able to bring prom back to the college. I truly, truly marvel at all of this because we had a choice. We could have chosen to stay mad at the world, and honestly, I would argue rightfully so in a lot of ways, and just give up. People tell you that high school is the best 4 years of your life, and half of those years were completely ripped away from us. Last year was hardly a happy return either. We all struggled with it as a whole community. Many of us gave up on this school and on each other. I'll admit, there were times when I did too, absolutely. But we didn't. We sucked it up, put on a brave face, pretended to know what on earth we were doing, and brought the life back to the school. We all did that, through big and little ways. We led clubs, played on teams, and cheered at pep rallies. All of it was crucial. Thank you all for the role you played in it. We are leaving this school, but the effort we have put in will continue to be important. These past few weeks, we've had many people tell us that this will be the last time we are all together. But I don't believe that we are all together tonight. Some of us have graduated early or can't be here tonight for one reason or another. It makes me wonder, have all of us ever been together? Was there a day where not a single one of us was sick or on a trip or skipping class? If I had to bet on it, I'd say no. We've never all been together. But this isn't as sad of a thought as I imagined it would be. If there's one thing the pandemic taught us, it is how to be together when we're not actually together. There are many of us who have no idea who each other is, but if somehow in 10 years we ended up in the same place, we would have endless things to talk about. Mutual friends, the day the boiler room flooded, the chaos of junior year, when the military helicopter landed in the practice fields, the opinions on the different fries in the lunchroom, how we all find the Blackbird mascot a little bit creepy, whatever is gonna happen at Project Grad tonight. We've had the same teachers, we've walked the same hallways, we have desperately avoided sleep in the same Google Meets. That is what makes us a class. That is what connects us and always will. Before I wrap this up, there are some people I need to thank. I'll start with my friends. You all have been there for me through thick and thin. You've listened to me complain and ramble and have filled my life with laughter and joy. To the teachers and staff that have supported me these past 4 years, Ms. Jewett, who helped me become a better writer, thinker, and person, Ms. Chapman, who has been an incredible teacher and mentor all year, Mr. Croto, who always answered my obnoxiously specific questions and helped me gain experiences I'll be grateful for the rest of my life. There are so many people in this school that I have so much gratitude for, and I'm so sorry I cannot name all of you. I also have to give a special shout out to Chesterfield School. Those are a fantastic 9 years that have set me up for many future endeavors. And finally, to my family. I love you all more than words can say. Mom, Dad, Sophie, Kathy, Nana, Gordon, I would not be here without you. I hope you know how grateful I am to each of you. I mentioned earlier that many consider high school to be the best 4 years of our lives. These 4 years have been something different for all of us. Some of us have loved it, some hated it, some have felt completely neutral about it. All of that is valid. We can all agree that high school is very weird. But here's what I hope for all of us. I hope we can look back at these 4 years and find something to remember that brings back a laugh, a smile, some nostalgia, even something to miss. I hope we all have found these 4 years to prepare us for what comes next. But even more than any of that, I hope the joy and success and love you find in the rest of your life makes these past years dwindle in comparison. I hope that you all find the life you are looking for, and while it will have the ups and downs that come with living, I hope you are happy. No matter what, know that we will always have this community to support you, and we are all rooting for each other. Fly high, Blackbirds, and thank you.
Thank you, Miss Jewett, and congratulations, Maddie. You truthfully will change the world one day. We wish you all of the best. The KHS Band will now perform Faraha under the direction of Mr. Joe Conti, and it will be conducted by our drum major, Hannah Driscoll-Kerrigan. And I have to go play, so I'll be back. Great job to the band. You guys sounded great. So at this time, sorry. At this time, I would like to introduce our class advisors, Mr. Hayden Patterson and Mr. Chris Berry. On behalf of the class council, we'd like to thank you for everything you did for the class this year.
What? Oh.
Go for it.
You didn't get me my stool?
I was going to.
One more short joke for it. Thank you, Mr. Patterson. I think you chose well for delegating the task of saying what little words we can to the English teacher. So we do just want to say something really simple, which is that we've heard a lot of great messages, and at the root of all of that today is play. From the act of playing, that's how we learn and how we grow. And so when Hayden and I keep needling at each other, and it's never gonna stop, we're learning and growing, and that's what we hope for you. We don't want you to lose that sense of fun and wonder. And to prove it, I want to take us back not 4 years, but 10 years or 12 years. Graduates, parents, if you can handle this, remember that puddle 10 years ago, 12 years ago, that you were splashing in, or that moment when you were running down the street and you were free and the wind felt so good. That is the root of all good. Those feelings never have to go. Adulting is a little bit overrated. The poet Billy Collins wrote of growing up. He said that the moment he grew up was when he realized that he wasn't, in fact, full of light, and that when he fell down and scraped his knees, light didn't come out, but blood. Patty and I are convinced that everyone here is full of light and fun. And keeping that light means you never really have to grow up. And so we hope from the bottom of our hearts that you never grow up, because adulting is overrated.
I don't want to do it, but it's time. Dr. Gallagher, Superintendent Millay, members of the school board, parents, guardians, family members, and invited guests, we now present the class of 2023. We would also like to recognize the administrative assistants who will be reading the names of the graduates, Miss Jane Rokes, Miss Carrie Perry, and Miss Virginia Soma. Thank you for your support of our seniors.
Ready? Elena Grace Fedrizi. Madeline Lucille Waters. Hannigan Logan Kerrigan. Chloe Taylor Fauché. Lindsay Jenna Marshall. Jonathan Fuller Walton. Fatbard Abdullahu. Ava Moynihan Acorsi. Sadie Ainsworth. Brooke Marie Alexander. Charlotte Elizabeth Alexander. Hunter Charles Anderson. Cutler Bodie Ansevin Allen. Braden Daniel Antashevich. Wilfredo Benito Aponte. Chloe Mackenzie Archambault. Amelia Jane Austin. Leonardo Giuseppe Bolero. Jack Oliver Barker. Pauline Estrude Batten. Emma Madeline Batchelder. Joel Anthony Beard. Jasmine Leonore Benavides. Autumn Grace Benoit. Jadera Ezel Betancourt. Christopher John Burney. Lillian Rose Blanchard. Jalen Riley Bonilla. Jonah Meyer Bolton. Kate Elizabeth Brackett. Matthew Peter Brenand. Madison Renee Brinson. Matthew Thomas Brown. Isaac Allen Buckley. Felicity Ray Buffum. Owen Peter James Buffum. Ren Burge. Jay Hoon Butler. Carmen Jade Butler. Jason Blake Canavan Dwyer. Ashley Card. Donovan Neal Carlson. Madison Marie Carter. McKenna Ryan Castor. Silas James Castor. David Ignacio Chahan Rodriguez. Christopher Chahan. Molly Ann Chamberlain. Aiden John Chapdelaine. Sion Chen. Patience Elizabeth Choquette. Danica Alexandra Selinsky. Kai Lee Clough. Cadence Marie Cloutier. Anne Marie Cochran. Coda James Colburn. Isabella Norman Collini. Isaiah Glenn Cook. Sophie Lucinda Copeland. Casimir John Kubel. Scarlett Berry Craven. Kimberly Rose Croto. Elizabeth Jeanette Cuevas. Remington Violet Courier. Nicholas Francis Cusack. Aaliyah Lynn Dalton. Alexis Kiera Davis. Natalie Irene Dean. Joseph Allen Depew. Marshall Dion. Zachary Grant DiPietro. Anastasia Shakira Dixon. Elizabeth Darby Downing. Meredith Beatrice Downing. Aiden J. Doyon. Nicholas Joseph Dumond. Damian Weston Dunton. Taylor John Durant. Mariah Lynn Edigel. Josephine Doris Evans. Emma Mae Fallon. James Michael Farrington. Ezra Philip Fosher. Shyla Marie Favreau. Hayden Phoebe Eleanor Fay. Coleman Francis Moynihan Files. Jordan Marilyn Marie Files. Dominique Rose Fontaine. Brady Thomas Froyez. Dylan John Froyez. Wesley Gavin Frowine.
Micah Rose Gagnon. Jade Rayan Galford. Kira Jacqueline Garcia. Lexi Kamara Garrett. Cadence Joy Gilbert. Garrett James Gitchell. Emma May Goldsmith. Mars Goodell. Megan Elizabeth Goodwin. Brendan Thomas Granger. Ashlyn Christina Grayston. Tess Angeline Green. Ryan Charles Greenlee. Damon Jonathan Greer. Jonathan Matthew Griffin. Michaela Yvonne Gillette. Whitney Elizabeth Hadlow. Bailey Anna Hakala. Katie Elizabeth Harrington. Jocelyn Elizabeth Harris. Sheridan Grace Harville. Delilah Jane Hathaway. Sophie Margaret Headings. Emily Charlotte Heath. Evan Cole Hebert. Jack Preston Hebert. Devin Lyle Henderson. Lillian Victoria Henderson. Carter Fisk Hennessy. Benjamin James Hertzler. Natalie Celia Huey. Chase Thomas Hill. Luke Charles Lavaz. Isaac Xavier Hobbs. Brianna Paige Hodgman. Alexander Michael Hafer. Rylan Harper Hogenkamp. Connor Charles Holbrook. Ryan John Howard. Regan Elizabeth Hoy. Mackenzie Reese Inkel. Liam Connor Jarvis. Bergen John Johannesson. Lauren Gabrielle Cashaw. Charles Edward King II. Paige Inez Knapp. Kylie Catherine Knowles. Satoya Kumara. Lynx Ann Jawe Koning. Lexi Ann Kazakowski. Soleil Pearl Lagunier. Mason Kelly Lavertu. Natalie Sophie Leclerc. Jeremy Charles Lennox. Kevin Yen Lin. Aiden Patrick Lincoln. Andrew James Liebarger. Sydney K. McLean. Lucas Henry Millay. Heidi Alexis Malilla. Gabrielle Lee Martell. Dylan John Maslowski. Ian Allen Matthews. Luke Patrick McBrarty. Victoria Regine McBrarty. Brandon Michael McGrath. Jessamine Marie McLaughlin Hoft. Matthew Anthony McLean. Cameron Reese Michelson. Madison Grace Michelson. Ava Nigerian Moore. Joshua Michael Morell. Trent Anthony Morrison. Owen Xavier Mullins. Trinity Hope Munsell. Jonah Green Murphy. Orion James Murphy. Elliot Adams Murray.
Connor Kirk Newer. Alex Merlin Nicholas. Eric Philip Sousa Nolan. Jack Randall Nordberg. Shelby Lynn O'Neill. Xander Leo Olmstead. Ashley Elizabeth Ooh. Eliza Daniel Pancake. Samantha Allison Panzer. Noah Zane Pellerin. Samuel Jaden Perry. Vanessa Marie Perry. Bud Michael Petronic Jones. Luke Whitney Petrovich. Vincent Gregory Piranunzi. David Mark Pinniger Jr. Kelly Lee Piper. Mia Renee Plasavich. Alyssa Marie Pratt. Matthew Allen Prophet Jr. Troy Erickson Raybold. You got it. Alexandra Eve Radner. Grace Marie Ramsey. Emery Emmanuel Ray. Arlo Regal. Joshua Thomas Rice. Jack Edward Wilson Rindu. Zoe Jane Catherine Roberts. Dylan Robert Rogers. Emily Joy Rounds. Ariana Brooke Ruskowski. Virginia Arlene Hadley Sadie. Nathan Joel Sampson. Maxwell Page Santos. Zachary Robert Saunders. Lena Elizabeth Scanlon. Connor Hayden Scribner. Kylie Shackett. Marin Skylar Schaefer. Skylar Aiden Shippey. Ashlyn Marie Smith. Jack Raymond Smith. McKenna Favorite Smith. Robert Henry Smith.
Donovan Thomas Soma.
Sebastian Perez Spikeman. Rowan Taggart White Stevenson. Kada Rose Stover. Anna Kathleen Supernor. Ava Jean Anna Simons. Samuel James Thomas. Owen David Thornton. Cal John Tiani. Samuel Russell Timmer. Ruby Lynn Tripodi. Kari Joseph Trotter. Kaylin Jane Trubiano. Jackson William Truesdale. Sophia Marie Truman. Katie Mae Tustin. Isabella Maria Venezia. Patience Audrey Vicaire. Tyler Lee Vorse. Gwendolyn Maybell Wallier. Karina Mary Walter. Kaylee Rose Walter. Nadia Aurora Washer. Mackenzie Marie Waterman. Zoe Elizabeth Waters. Luke Oscar Weber. Cameron Lily White. Rain Elizabeth Wiegand. Regan Elizabeth Wilkins. Jared Zachary Woods. Colby Hunter Wright. Mary Stone Yatsevich. Nora May Young. And Catley Jane Zambruski.
At this time, I would like to ask the Class of 2023 Treasurer, Jonathan Walton, to come forward and present the class gift.
Hello, Class of 2023, and congratulations on making it through your final year of high school. It has been my pleasure to serve as Class Council Treasurer, and I'm honored to have the privilege of announcing our class gifts. I would like to thank all of the members of Class Council and our advisors for their hard work and dedication, which has allowed us to have many successful fundraisers over the last 4 years. These events have left us with substantial funds that we want to put back towards the school and the Keene High community. To the school, we are reserving $1,500 for a new water bottle filling station and $500 towards a new microwave in the cafeteria. We also plan on donating $2,000 to both the Keene Education Association for our school's outstanding educators and the scholarships they provide, and to Project Graduation, which offers a memorable event for all graduating seniors. Finally, we will be dividing up $2,800 between the class councils of younger years to help support their future fundraisers and class events. The remaining money will be set aside for our future class reunions. I again want to thank you all. We are grateful for the support everyone has given us in regards to participating in our fundraisers over the years, and they have enabled us to give back to the school. We hope these gifts reflect our time at Keene High and our gratitude towards this community. Congratulations to the Class of 2023 and the contributions we have created.
You and I. Graduates, folks on the stage, graduates, please stand. Graduates, please stand. Superintendent Millay, on behalf of the faculty and staff of Keene High School, I present to you the class of 2023 As the principal of Keene High, I certify that each student standing here before you tonight has met all of the requirements, duties, and obligations established both by the New Hampshire Department of Education and the Keene School Board.
Principal Gallagher, through the authority vested in me as the superintendent of schools, as prescribed by statute in the state of New Hampshire and the policies of the Keene School District, I accept your certification and hereby declare the blackbirds in front of us graduates of Keene High School.
Graduates, I now ask that you move your tassels from the right side to the left side. This signifies success and that you have officially graduated. Congratulations to the class of 2023. Throw 'em. You can throw them if you want. You can throw them. There you go. Okay, graduates, I'm going to ask you to grab a seat. We'll sort out the hats in a couple of minutes. I would be remiss if I didn't take this opportunity to acknowledge, my third time was to get it right, our ASLL signers. Miss Karen Todd and Miss Janet Whiteman have been signing for us all day. As part of our exit, this is new for many of us, the faculty will leave first, followed by anybody that's going to leave off of the stage. You're going to exit and go down to the blue locker math hallway. Then the marshals will lead the now alumni. Yeah. Out for one final goodbye to the faculty. Parents, guests, and folks that are in the auditorium watching live, I'm going to ask you to stay put until the procession is done, and then I'm going to give you additional directions about what we need to happen to get everybody set for tonight. Mr. Conti, we're ready. Faculty, we're ready for you to march. Thank you. Marshals, if you could rise. Give them 1 second to get set up out there. All right, you're heading out now. Congratulations, graduates. parents in the room. Whoop.